Welcome to Multifamily Insights. I'm your host, John Casmon, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. If you are enjoying the show and getting some great value for your investing goals, let us hear about it with some honest feedback with a rating and review. Listen, if this is your first time listening, be sure to hit that follow or subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Now, today we've got a great show. We're going to be talking to Sabrina Osso. Sabrina Osso is the founder and CEO of Osso Safe. Feel safe where you live, learn, work, and play. As she is a TEDx speaker, author, and a real estate agent on creating and maintaining respect in homes, workplaces, and schools. Let's welcome to the show, Sabrina Osso.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for the opportunity to be on your wonderful podcast.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on. Listen, I'm excited to chat with you today. I went over your background at a very, very high level. Why don't you take 2 minutes and fill in some of those gaps?
Sure. As you said, I'm founder and CEO of Osso Safe. Feel safe where you live, learn, work, and play. I am a TEDx speaker, real estate agent, and children's book author on creating and maintaining respect in homes, workplaces, and schools, but the focus is in homes, all types of properties.
So let's get into that, right? One, how did you get into that space?
I have had enough therapy to be comfortable enough to say that I am a survivor of violence. My father beat my mother on a regular basis. My mother would beat me. So I know firsthand how traumatic it is to live in that type of environment. And we lived in a two family that my parents owned. We lived upstairs and it was just very fearful, very, when you put that key in your lock, and I love when real estate the real estate industry podcast hosts that are affiliated with the real estate industry that ask us to be on their show, because if your home is not safe, that's it, it's over. So we are focusing on the real estate industry to get our products and services out there, but um I also Safe started as a one woman show. I'm a dancer that I wrote, choreographed, and performed a number of years ago. The name of the show is called Home Sweet Home question mark. I play different women being abused. She goes to her good place. That's where the dancing comes in. But then she's pulled back into the terror of violence. The show ends really strong, really empowering. But I did a lot of research for the show, John, and I could not believe the statistics. And I said to myself, I need to make this into a business, a bona fide business with products and services that could really help people, putting respect on the map in terms of documents, contracts, a seminar. That way people learn and practice respect in their home. And it's better for everybody. And this is better for business in terms of the real estate industry, if you will. So I hope I answered the question, how I got started. It's turning my own pain into power.
No, I appreciate you sharing that, being vulnerable, right? Just sharing your story and the challenges you face, some of the trauma that you face, how you're able to turn that first creatively with your one woman show, leveraging dance. But then as you continue to do more research, you realize that, hey, it's one thing to put the creative message out there. It's another thing to actually put together a business where we can help solve and maybe turn around some of these challenges. You mentioned products and services. I think some of our listeners may be trying to figure out, well, what does that look like? How do we actually recognize what may be going on in people's homes, especially if it's not our own homes, as investors or property managers? And then what are some of the solutions that may be out there to help solve some of these challenges?
Yes, thank you for your question. We are saying at Osso Safe, like I mentioned, everything starts in the home. There are roughly about, and a business coach ran the numbers for me. I believe it's like 138 million homes in the United States alone, roughly. I believe 138, 139 million. So we're saying, wow, that's a huge market. And our goal at Osso Safe is to make every home Osso Safe certified. What does that mean? I know I'm a real estate agent. I'm a landlord. I am a property owner, both here and overseas. And you know your troublesome tenants, really. Police come to the residence, you're dealing with yelling, screaming, children crying, there's conflict, there's tenseness there, there's so we are saying to property owners, property managers, you don't have to turn away, you don't have to resolve this by yourself. And what's typically happening right now is that your safe, practicing, respectful tenants are leaving, and then you're stuck with the abusive family. With our products and services, we are flipping the script, if you will. We are reversing all of that. We are saying we're focusing on the landlord tenant portion of the industry. And like I said, we want all properties to become Osso Safe certified. What does that look like? We're saying, Mr. and Miss Landlord, hire us, we'll get your property Osso Safe certified. They purchase for $125 per unit, regardless of how many people are in the unit. It could be a single person, it could be a family of 4, a family of 3. You could be boyfriend and girlfriend. You could be living with an extended family. It doesn't matter. $125 per unit. What does that get you? The Osso Safe Home Sweet Home package. It consists of a policy, a seminar, an app, and therapists assigned to the property. The policy basically states, I, as a landlord, I promise to provide you a safe space for you to live. You, in turn, as my tenant, you promise to not act in any way, shape, or form abusively. Otherwise, you, the abuser only, gets immediately evicted from the premises, and we go into full knowledge knowing that that would be the consequences. So there's no surprise. The second component is a seminar. Everybody gets educated, John. It's the Osso Safe Home Sweet Home seminar, and the seminar consists of facts, statistics, warning signs, definitions of abuse, the difference between abuse and discipline, what constitutes a good relationship, what are the warning signs of a bad relationship. So that way your tenants can't say, oh, I didn't know that if I pull my partner's hair, that constitutes abuse. Now you know. And I want to say at this point right now in the interview that children are at the core of what we do at Osso Safe. We are empowering them. We're giving them voice and choice. Because I have to say, and I have personal and professional experience with this, the laws, the courts, the judges, the child protective service agencies, they're horrible. Horrible. I can't stress that enough. With our products and services, you won't need the courts. You won't need the courts. You won't need the child protective service agencies. Everything gets resolved right in residency where it happens, right in your, if you live in a townhouse, a co-op, a condo, a single-family home, a multifamily dwelling, a two-family home, a villa, a mansion, a mobile home, a senior community, a dormitory. I think I covered all of the types of properties that are out there. It gets resolved right in residency. Our children's book is a staple in all Osso Safe certified properties, and I'm explaining in the book, the name of the book is Home Safe Home for You and Me. I explain the difference between respect and disrespect, abuse and non-abuse, because I thought long and hard about this. What makes a property safe? What makes your home safe? Yes, you could have the heat, hot water, electricity, central air, everything up to code, your window guards, everything is you have, maybe you have concierge, you have everything is up to code. But what about safety in terms of nobody's beating the crap out of anyone, no one's verbally disparaging anyone, no one's laying their hands on anyone, there's no verbal, physical, sexual abuse. That's what we're talking about, because everything else, John, is secondary. Your heat, hot water, electricity, central air, and I say this in my TEDx talk actually, if you don't have your property safe in terms of keeping everybody respectful of one another, it's over. It's done. There's no point in going on. So this is what we're doing at Osso Safe, and we're making this a standard. So it we're not singling out anyone. Oh, you look like a victim. Oh, you look like an abuser. No, this is a blanket education. The policy, the seminar. I want to say, I want to continue with the children. We are in the policy and in the seminar, we are saying to children, speak out. If you're not safe at home, dad is beating up mom, mom is beating up dad, you're getting abused. Maybe dad is, or stepdad or stepmom is coming into your room asking you to pull down your pants. Whoa, that's abuse. You get to dictate where you want to live, kids. We don't wait until you are 18 years of age because by 18, it's too late. Kids will resort to drugs, alcohol, gang related activity, getting involved with the wrong people, continuing the abuse, self harm, and ultimately commit suicide. Why? When you can nip it in the bud right when they are teeny tiny, in residency, in your home. With the book and with our education, we are saying to them, speak out. And we know it's scary. We realize that they could lie, right? Kids could lie. No, 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 no. I'm safe with mommy and daddy. But we know at Osso Safe that abusive parents, abusive step parents can only keep their poker face on for so long. Sooner than later, those abusive true colors will come out. So we are saying to them, you don't have to live here. You could go elsewhere, but that property is going to be Osso Safe certified. So you could keep running. You either change your ways or, quite frankly, you need to be homeless. You belong nowhere. Because when you put that key in your lock, you should feel like it's your sanctuary. You should feel like you can exhale.
Couple things. One, you talked about the importance of feeling safe in a home, and the products and services are really focused on education and training people and having that agreement in place. So when they're coming in to sign their regular lease, so part of that process is, hey, you're going to make a commitment and make a vow that there won't be any physical abuse. And if there is, we already have the ramifications laid out. So we're not waiting to go through this court battle or calling the police and all it is back and forth with an eviction. We already have a solution in place based on the agreement. So that's one of the things that you're talking about implementing up front. From a children's standpoint, it's really a lot of education of what is abuse and what's not abuse, using the book and helping them to feel comfortable and confident to speak out. I want to talk on behalf of the landlords, the property managers who are listening right now, because my guess, and please correct me if I'm wrong, my guess is people may have their suspicions that there are things that are happening, but they don't want to get involved. And there's hesitation on getting involved. They don't want to take on this challenge. They don't want it to get messy. They themselves don't want to put themselves in harm's way. Can you just talk about that feeling and getting involved in this situation and maybe talk to us about maybe overcoming some of those challenges or that perception?
Yes, yes, wonderful question. And thank you for having such positive feedback. In the policy, we map out right in the policy, and this is all copywritten, trademarked, that a tenant cannot sue a landlord for evicting someone. So we have and we work with a small team of lawyers so that way all of our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted, so to speak. So that way the landlord, they can't go after the landlord to say you threw me out. Why did you do that? This is your choice to live here. And the education, the certification, it's like already known. Wow, I'm held to a higher regard, a higher standard. Actually, it's out of the landlord's hands. Once you become OSSO Safe certified, it's like it makes it easier for the landlord because now it's just the standard. Respect will be practiced here in the property. Everybody follows the same rules. No one's going to beat anyone up. So I designed the products and services on purpose to kind of relieve the landlord. And we've had this already in a few. I've been doing so many podcasts and speaking engagements to let people know that we exist, what our products and services are. And we have this already in a few properties, and it's been working out well. We're getting positive feedback. We are getting, wow, I feel like I want to live. in an Osso Safe certified property. I want to raise my children in an Osso Safe certified property home versus one that isn't, because you have the mechanisms and systems in place if and when violence occurs, abuse occurs. I don't have to leave. Wow. Me, the victim, I don't have to leave so long as I can continue to pay the rent and the mortgage. My kids don't have to be uprooted, go to a school, go to a different school. I don't have to be in hiding. And I say this in the TEDx talk. Why should you leave as the victim? You stay right where you are. It's the abuser that has to leave and pay the consequences. And this benefits the landlord, the property owner, the property manager. It's kind of like, yeah, respect is practiced here. It's a foundation. So, and I get I understand the bit of pullback or the reservation because they don't want to get involved. But I have to say, would you rather you get your property also safe certified, you implement the education, and really the landlord doesn't have to do anything. We'll go in, we educate all of the tenants, we keep a record of everyone to make sure that they check in with their therapist once a month. That's another part of the certification. There's 4 components, and I'm sorry I'm jumping around. We went through the policy, the seminar. There's an app that is associated with the certification. And I hired a software company to detect violent like movements, and it captures them in real time, issuing alerts to the landlord. So let's say you have 10 units, you get an alert. Oh my goodness, I just saw you beat the crap out of her in my unit 2, and you just beat the crap out of him in my unit 10. Well, this is grounds for eviction. You knew that this was going to happen. I have to maintain property reputation in my building. We don't allow this. So, but the app is being updated right now, being improved upon to be even more precise. So that is kind of on the back burner right now. But the fourth and final component of the certification is therapists are assigned to the property. So mental health is part of your residency. Instead of waiting for an episode of violence to occur, bad news travels fast, the police come. We're saying check in with your therapist once a month. Is everything okay? Do you feel like anything is looming? Well, Mr. and Miss Therapist, our kid came home with bad grades. We don't know how to handle this. We're not going to beat him up. We're not going to verbally disparage him. We know better thanks to the education that you provided with Osso Safe. But help us through this. We don't know how to handle this. All of these components working together, John, makes for a better home life, a better experience in your home, in your apartment. And then our logo gets placed outside of the property. So that way, any vehicle or pedestrian traffic, they're looking for a place to live. Wow, I know what that logo means. It means that they practice safety, they make respect the required standard, and it's a blanket education for everybody, John. So it's not like I said, we single out anybody. No. We are saying this should be a standard. So so the logo is like a recognized symbol. Like I would rather raise my kids in an Osso Safe certified property versus one that isn't. So to go back to your question, like landlords don't want to get involved, you are involved automatically. You take in tenants, residents, and then you sign the standard forms. And then, okay, here are the keys. Bye bye. Well, what if something happens? People get beat up. You hear violence. Meanwhile, you get complaints from the other tenants. Wow, I don't want to live here anymore, landlord, Mr. and Miss Landlord. Like, why aren't you doing something about this? I live above them, beside them, below them. I can't take it anymore. We can't sleep. In the elevator, we're worried. But if you got your property also safe certified, I think a lot of those fears, a lot of those concerns would be diminished. And I want to say, you don't want to be stuck with a murder. Ultimately, the worst case scenario. is a murder, which happens, right? 1 out of 3 women will be beaten or raped in her lifetime. 1 out of 5 adolescent girls is abused by her boyfriend. 1 out of 3 young people will be in an abusive relationship. 1 out of 7 men is abused. 15 million children witness violence in their own homes each and every year. That's just in the US alone, just the ones that we know about. 5 children a day are killed at the hands of an abusive parent, abusive step-parent, usually under the watch of a child protective service agency and or the courts, the judges that usually side with the abusive parents, the abusive step-parents. With our certifications, I assure you, and I know I'm making a bold statement, if we make respect the required standard in all homes, all types of homes, business will be better, landlords will be better off. Our way of life, living day to day, will be more peaceful.
Yeah, Sabrina, you said something that stood out to me, which is, for those landlords, the property managers who don't want to get involved, you are involved, right? It already impacts you because it impacts the other residents. It's going to impact the culture. It's going to impact the community. So whether you want to take action on the information or not, is up to you, but you are involved and there will be consequences one way or the other. One of the things you talked about was how do you create a safe community? You talked about, recognizing that, hey, other neighbors don't want to live in that environment. They may get involved. Obviously, there's some severe violence that could take place that you want to be aware of and try to stop those things before they progress any further. I know you've talked a lot about Osso Safe, right? And certainly there's solutions that you and your team are building. For those folks who just I guess more generally speaking, solutions that they can incorporate into their management. Can you talk to us about maybe some best practices, whether it's, with Also Safe or just in general? What are some best practices that property managers, property owners need to be looking out for and implementing to do a better job of curbing some of this violence that may take place?
As property managers and property owners, I would say to tell those people to, and at least say this, get therapy if they don't already do so. Any kind of therapy is better than no therapy. And as we say at Also Safe, there's shame in not getting help versus getting help. So just to say that, plant that seed. Look, I've heard things. I am the property manager for this building. Um, and give them a list of therapists in the area, or even if they go to therapists, property managers, maybe they go to therapists themselves and they could recommend their own therapists. Usually therapists are in teams, right? So there's many different ones. So, and don't be discouraged if you don't click with one therapist. You may have to try on a few for size. Let that be okay. There's um maybe there's just a disconnect. So maybe it'll take you 3, 4 times. I would say suggest that to your tenants, to your residents, to get therapy, any kind of therapy. And there's so many sites like betterhelp.org or .com. I forgot if it's a .org.com, but there are so many sites now, thanks to the pandemic. They really put the COVID put on the front burner our mental health. So that would go a long way. I would say that would be our top recommendation. Another recommendation is you get your, to say that I'm sorry that this is happening. I know that sounds strange, but to just where your tenants feel connected to you and they don't feel so alone, especially the victim and even the abuser. I have to say, even the abuser and the therapist, the therapy will help both victim and abuser. But I would say, I'm sorry that this is happening, to just connect with them and say, I want you to remain here, but you need to do your part like I have to do my part. And this is not, uh, I want you to get help. I hope that you do get help because we'll all be better off for it. And all of the children in the building will be better off for it. So I would say that alone. So therapy, saying I'm sorry, if there's any way that I could direct you. And I want to say there are shelters out there, there are the courts, but as I mentioned, um we are in this situation because of them, because they're not doing their job, the courts, the child protective service agencies. So um I want to say to your property managers, to your property managers, the superintendents, don't turn a blind eye. Don't pretend that this is not happening. Which is why I stress to acknowledge it. And I know that these are sticky situations, they're awkward situations, but to say to them, please go get help. And I'm sorry that you're going through this. I think will go a long way. Because these people, they're alone. They feel very much alone. I know I did as the child, watching everything, being terrorized. So, um, and the property managers document when something gets, and it's not because of some accident, but you saw he just beat the crap out of her, or she just beat the crap out of him. Document it. Like you echoed, you're involved as a landlord, you are involved by default. So to pretend that nothing is happening, document what you saw on your cell phone, on a piece of paper, on such and such a day and time, unit 3F, so and so just beat up so and so. And it'll help you as a landlord, because it will, I'm sure the police will want to know, did you do anything? Did what happened? Did you just turn a blind eye? You don't want a lawsuit in your on your hands. So I would say, I hope I gave some to do, like, actionable items right now with those three items.
No, I appreciate that. Sabrina, again, for folks who want to learn more, they can go to ossosafe.com. Sabrina, I think there's a lot of great information, and it's obviously a very sensitive subject, but one that owners and property investors need to be aware of, because there are some legal concerns. You also want to make sure that your residents are having a great experience and you're building a great community. So learn more about this subject, figure out what you and your team can do to better create an environment. If Osso Safe's a part of that solution, check them out, learn more. Sabrina, let's transition and go to our round of insights. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you want to grow as a multifamily investor, you have to spend more time with other multifamily investors. And an easy way to do that is to join our apartment investing mastermind group today. Just go to casmoncapital.com and click on the mastermind button. Now, as a part of this group, you'll get access to expert trainings, group coaching calls, industry news and updates, as well as all of our webinars and workshops, including our 3-hour workshop on raising capital. Again, if you want to be around other multifamily investors that can help you scale your portfolio today and grow your network, make sure you're a part of the Apartment Investing Mastermind. Just go to casmoncapital.com and click on the Mastermind button today. Give me a failure or an apparent failure that set you up for later success.
I went through several name changes before I hit upon Osso Safe, and it was thanks to so that was failure. Just having the wrong name for your business. So it wasn't until I hired a business coach that really asked me some very deep questions about what the vision that I had for my business, and then I came up with Osso Safe, and he said, bingo, that's your business. So I would say, just going through the failure of having the wrong name, because you're kind of lost at that point until you feel good about your own business name and the purpose of it.
Give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend for our listeners.
I want to say, just our app, once it gets up and running, this will help people in real estate. It'll have multiple applications for you're holding an open house and you feel unsafe. Somebody just walked in and you have mixed signals and you feel like they have bad intentions, And yes, you let people know that you're there. You could have your partner agent there. But with our app, it'll have multiple applications, and one of them will be that it will detect violence. So you won't have to call the police. You won't have to press a button or hold something, because it is scary for us agents, I have to say, in this regard. They tell you what don't you walk behind your client, and make sure you tell someone when you're showing a property. So I just want to say the Osso Safe app.
Give me the book you've gifted or recommended the most in the last year.
My own, actually, Home Safe Home for You and Me. And we've gotten a good amount of feedback, both from adults and children alike. But I do like one book that I recommend is my therapist actually recommended it to me a number of years ago. Do What You Love, The Money Will Follow by Marcia Sinatar.
All right.
I like that one. Yeah, do what you love, the money will follow.
Love it. Give me a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals.
Yes, and this one I learned a few years ago. I try to stay in the moment, which is something I never could do. And this I got from a spiritual leader. He doesn't refer to himself as a spiritual leader, but he is an author, Eckhart Tolle. And he encourages people to stay in the moment. Don't think about the past, don't think about the future so much, just right now. Like my right here, right now is speaking to you. I hear my voice, I hear your voice, I hear my computer running, I hear the heat crackling, and that's it. And that just anchors you to the present moment, so that way you're not driven by anxiety and fear and worry so much.
I appreciate that. Staying in the moment. All right, let's switch gears and go in a different direction. You are in northern New Jersey. Give me your favorite place to grab a bite to eat.
One of them is Bazzarelli's. It's a Italian restaurant. And then another one is I'm Italian, so there's a few places here that are Italian. So and there are a couple of good ones. Brooklyn Pizza is good. The pizza is very good, but I have to say, in Italy, it has the best pizza ever. But I would say Bazzarelli's and Brooklyn Pizza are good places to eat Italian food, including pizza.
Well, Sabrina, I appreciate you sharing that. Great talking to you today. You gave a couple of things that I think are really important for our listeners. One is just right. One, I appreciate you just being vulnerable, sharing your story, what led you down the path of creating Osso Safe with the one woman show, and recognizing that we need to have more solutions that help the real estate industry. My takeaways are really, again, with the mindset of that property owner, the property manager. It's one, recognizing that you're involved whether you want to be or not, and we have a responsibility to create a safe, respectable housing environment for our residents, and making sure that we are identifying signs of violence, helping those residents, and trying to find ways to curtail that as much as possible. When we do encounter those situations, obviously we want to prevent it as much as possible with some of the services you talked about there. But when we can't prevent it, we want to be able to react to it so that we can hopefully stop it as quickly as we can. And I just think that's important to understand, is that, we have to be proactive. You don't want to turn a blind eye to it, and you don't want this to snowball into a much bigger issue. So recognize that you have a role to play, whether you want to or not. Make sure your property manager, your on-site team is, both trained to recognize this, but also looking to provide solutions for residents if they are encountering this situation. Again, if you want to learn more about Sabrina and her team, you can go to ossosafe.com. Sabrina, thank you again for coming on today. We look forward to staying in touch with you, and hope you have a good one.